Welcome to Season 2, Episode 9, Episode 61 altogether of Reviewedly Interrupted, with me, your host, Pootie, where I was doing Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, aka Zombie 3. Yes, they're one and the same. They are the same exact movie, yet they have two completely different titles, and one is a 2 and one is a 3, but they are the same movie, and they are glorious. So you might be thinking like, okay, well, Walt had a good amount of notes, and for Zombie, and he got pretty in depth. There was a longer video and everything, and of course it's a classic, not just because it's Fulci, it's just an absolutely amazing zombie movie. So Lucio Fulci's Zombie, aka Flesh Eaters, aka Zombie 2, you think like, oh man, yeah, but then you get to the sequels, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, aka Zombie 3, he wouldn't have as much notes. But little do you know, I absolutely adore these sequels. I love these sequels a lot. Every single one of them. I really love this zombie franchise, which we're using a little loosely for this one. But let's get into it a little bit here. Came out in 1988, rated R, 1 hour, 24 minutes long. One of those, let's get to it ones. Directed by Lucio Fulci, but uncredited Claudio Fragasso and Bruno Mattei. They're uncredited. If I remember correctly, I think I've watched the special features to this, and there is some shit where it's there's a little bit of kind of stuff about the directors were being brought in and shuffled out and this and that, and it was a lot of confusion about who really did it and this and that and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty crazy. But I'll watch the special features and then I'll remember again. Hey, cast: Darin Serafian, Beatrice Ring, Ottaviano Dell'Acqua, Massimo Vanni. Those are the main mofos in this. And let's just jump right into it, because I'll get into some shit about that cast stuff later. Hey. All right. At the beginning, it's almost got a 1960s sci-fi low budget kind of look. With the lighting, how it's the reds and the greens and just the look. And it's if you've watched Japanese sci-fi horror stuff, not the big Godzilla, I'm talking about just the horror stuff from the 1960s. It has that look, where there's the Asian guy and he's bald. It's it always seems in a lot of the science stuff, people end up bald, man. You gotta shave their head so you can do shit with their brains, right? So yeah. But I mean, just the coloring and how everything looked, it looked like a 1960s Japanese, or taking place in some kind of Asian tropic place, sci-fi science shit going on. It had that look. And then I love how it just goes from that, where it's you almost kind of get that look, and then boom, straight into the gore effects, the gross, bloody gore effects, especially when that guy pops up through there and it's just his face, how it looks. So good. And I said, damn you, science. What hast thou didst? It's always doing something. And the effects are hella cool in this. I'm going to talk a lot about the effects because I really enjoy the effects. They're a part of what makes this movie so much fun, and I really enjoy the sequels as much as the original. I really do. For me, they're a lot of fun. So the story is by Claudio Fragasso, so it's this story, he has the uncredited director's thing, but the story is his. So it's these are some big names in some Italian horror around that time, and just Italian movies and shit. And I really dig the synth pop theme. The synth pop theme is a lot of fun for me, and how when the dude grabs the case and he makes the most amazing getaway when he grabs the case, because there's people firing at him and from 20 feet away, but they're missing, and the one guy's grab the helicopter and go after him. I'm dude, he's still right there. He's still in the shot. Not just in the shot, but in plain view of the people there. It's why don't you just chase him? He's right there. But they're no. It's but it sets up something I said. It sets up a helicopter chase, which is so much better than a foot chase. Because you got people shooting from a helicopter at a guy. It's helicopter chase. more excitementer. So you gotta love that. Um, I love the ridiculous way the first dude, the guy that stole the case, gets infected is actually so banal. It's believable because you think about it. It's like, is it some big thing where it's like, oh, he's a part of it? Like some big convoluted thing happens? No, he gets shot. His hand gets hurt. It's already got an open cut. The case drops, it spills open. As he's reaching to grab it, some of the shit gets on the cut. Totally accidental. He's not paying attention. It just seems so like ludicrous in a way. You know, like it. That's how the first person got infected. It wasn't some big ordeal. Like 28 days later seemed to have more of a woe setup. You know, with the monkey shit and everything. But like, this was just so like, are you kidding me? It's just like he's clumsy. he was a little bit clumsy at the wrong moment, and that's how it happened. And there's definite comparisons with Day of the Dead. You know, with like, you know, you got the military involvement with the science involvement, and they're butting heads, and it's like a big thing where it's like a Day of the Dead. You know, supposed to be two factions trying to get to the same conclusion to save, you'd think, humanity, but a lot of it is just their own asses, but butting heads and having different viewpoints on how to go about it. So there's you definitely got those Day of the Dead vibes in there. And did I already mention I love these effects? I really do. I love these effects, like the chopping, like when the guy chops his hand off that's all so infected. It's so like low budget, but they just make it so gross, like the infected flesh, how the infected flesh looks. It's so gross, and how they did it is just like so awesome because it's over the top. It's almost cartoony in a way, just because it's just so gross and over the top. And then I also love the simplicity of the mirror face smash. Put some blood capsules in your mouth. We're going to make it look like we're like the hand smashing your face against there, and it's making you bleed, and you just spit the blood out. It's so simple, but it's just like even more blood, even more. So it's like, it's pretty cool, the simplicity. So altogether, even though that was like a way much smaller budget type effect, like I'm talking about probably like almost zero budget effect for that part, altogether that whole sequence is just like this gross out gore bloody fucking scene, and it's so much fun for the gorehounds. There's also a lot of, I saw comparisons to the Crazies, you know, with the hazmat soldiers, you know, in the Crazies, where it's like you have the soldiers with the machine guns, but they're wearing the hazmats and all this other kind of stuff. So definite, like, you got some Day of the Dead going on there, and then you also got some like more Romero with the Crazies. And I really think that the Italians really enjoyed his style, because I think like even with different giallo and stuff like that, just it seems like with Italian cinema, it's not always just like so laid out there for you, with like how a lot of domestic movies were probably doing around that time, or just laid out there. There was no like hidden thing or like deeper message. It was just like boom, horror, slasher, gore fest, whatever, boom, just laid out there. Where it's like, it seems like there almost had to be some kind of message, some underlying kind of theme to why this shit happened, you know. And so I think they kind of like Romero in the way that he doesn't just tell the horror story like as this fiction with monsters and everything else. He's also telling the horror story of like humanity underneath, you know, the thing, societal issues. So I think that the Italians really dig that, and I just love the uniquely gross effects. I'm gonna say it a lot. And then the Return of the Living Dead echoes and a smidge of The Fog with the DJ. And I say Return of the Living Dead because what do? They burn the body. The smoke gets up into the sky. The birds fly through it, or whatever. It infects through them burning and it going into the ecosystem. And then you also have like The Fog with the DJ, just kind of like laying stuff out there about what's happening and everything else, and just kind of like, you know, your intimate fun time DJ, you know. And I love the beautiful locations, the locales that are in this movie, and they look even better like in HD. They look really like the fact they filmed where they filmed is just like so beautiful there. And so in HD it really popped, just the beautiful locations, and I loved it. And one thing I love to point out is that half of the male half of the protagonist group is military. So like a quarter, we'll say a quarter of that group is military men. And that comprises 90% of the antagonist group. 90% of the antagonist group is male military. You know, you got your scientists, which we'll get into a little bit of that here in a little bit, but like, yeah, so 90% of the antagonist is male military, but then there's this small little like 25% of the protagonist group, which is male military. So I thought it was kind of neat how they kind of like split, like they put that division in there, which is a pretty cool division, which is, you know, one of those things where it gets into like an issue of, okay, when shit starts hitting the fan, are you going to follow orders or are you going to follow your humanity? You know, so it's like kind of like a neat little thing thrown in there that pops in some movies where it's like, are you going to do what you're told to do or the right thing to do? And you know, I kind of like how that's in there. And I do like how the infection like cross species, where it got into the birds and the birds then went back and infected the humans again, which showed that this particular infection wasn't just for humans or like whatever, or humanoids, you know, maybe apes could get it. I don't know. We don't get into that. But it's not just human beings that get it, that it's any species can get infected by this virus that has been created. And the fact that it jumps from people to birds is like pretty awesome, you know, because it's not just something so like how you'd think like rodents or something like that, you know. And then also the fact that birds give it back to humans. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I like the sweet metal tunage during the birds times 1 million, when all those infected birds start going nuts and flying the RV and you got that hair metal song playing. I was just like, this is so wild. This is why I love Italian movies. All of a sudden it's like, what? And you're just like, if you're not along for the ride already, and this isn't even that far into the movie, and if you're already just starting to fall out, and this doesn't just get you back into it or just solidify that you made the right choice, I don't know what will. And the awesome gross look of the effects. I just keep saying it because I love the gross effects. There's just certain things about them that I'm going to get into later that finally I think it clicked and I was like, oh, that's what it is. And the abandoned garage scene is really great, you know, where like the lady, after her boyfriend is attacked by the bird, they stop in that garage. She's looking for water and looking for help. It's very tense and claustrophobic. Even in some of the wider shots, it feels claustrophobic in there where she's at. Just like, even though the ceiling is kind of high and there's some space, it feels like it's really just looming over her, to be honest. And that everything that's there is kind of tall, even though there's space, there's lots of tall, so it's looming and it feels very claustrophobic. So it was that set design there was awesome. And it has almost a gothic look in moments, you know, when there's the mist, the foggy mist that just permeates throughout the entire fucking movie, and then the cobwebs. It almost has this real like gothic, like older horror like movie vibe, like almost a 1920s, 1930s gothic horror, where it has that kind of look, or even like a bava, like some bava in there, because I don't know, it's just a much different look in these like tiny little shots and these tiny little scenes. And the machete zombie is epic. I love how it's just like, how do you top fat zombie? How do you top shark fighting zombie? How do you top worm eye zombie? Well, you come in with a zombie wielding, using, swinging a machete. That's fucking nuts, dude. That is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. And what makes it great is they speed up the video in that scene, so it's more chaotic and intense. It's like fucking, like, it would be crazy enough if just at normal speed, if they played the video at normal speed and that zombie was swinging that machete around, it would look fucking nuts, because even the effects on that zombie are very gross and decayed, and he's very rotted. So he's swinging a machete and he's super decayed and he just looks gross. It would look nuts. But the fact that they sped it up, it's like so fucking intensely chaotic. We're just like, what the fuck? Because it's like, wah, 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 and he's moving so fast and swinging that machete, and it's just like, it is so fucking awesome. It is like, I don't know. I imagine it's like that when you first like really start picking up speed after you jump out of an airplane. That's what that scene feels like to me. And like, I haven't done the airplane thing yet. I will skydive eventually. I just feel like at that moment, something like that zombie is going to be the absurd thing that's going to pop into my head. Because I'll be like, it's just fucking like that. Because that's how my mind works. I don't know why. But I just feel like that's the kind of intensity it has. Because it's just so like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But I love it. And then the big Day of the Dead plot thickening of the scientists versus the military men, because that, if you've ever seen George Romero's Day of the Dead, that was the thing, is like you got these two factions that are supposed to be working towards the same goal, but totally at odds with each other. The scientists, which are trying to use reason and science to fix the problem in a way that will benefit the most and save the most. And then you got the military men, which are just like, fuck it, we'll save our own skins. Who gives a shit? Everything's shit anyway. You know, so you got this headbutting, even though it's not so apocalyptic in this one, where it's not like, oh, hey, they feel like they have it contained, so it's not like so widespread. It's not as widespread as in Day of the Dead, so it's not as grandiose as a headbutting, but still a headbutting as in like, let's find a cure, and let's just obliterate what there is, and then that'll be the cure. So I love that. So it's almost like a little tip of the hat to Romero. The dreamlike quality and look of a lot of the movie, I don't know if, like, I don't really know how to explain it. If it's like the lens they're using with the light, how it's like the bright light is almost oversaturated, and makes it dreamlike. You know, very fuzzy, where it's very bright, but it's very fuzzy. And then you have the mist, so it just seems like they're in this dreamland the whole time. It's kind of makes it even more of an odd movie, which makes it more fun to watch for me. And I love how they go to the abandoned, decrepit hotel, and it's like, hey, try the phone. You never know. This has obviously been abandoned for many, many decades, but maybe the phones still work. I thought that was hilarious when it's like, dude, no, what are you doing? No, we need to go find help. There's no phone here. What's wrong with you? Zombie, gross effects based on more reality. I want to say that they tried for a little more, like they said that it was a very comic booky type deal, but the way they did like the skin ripping off and stuff like that, it seems like they kind of thought like, well, what would happen if, and they tried to base it more on reality, where like Zombie 2 is just gross to be fucking gross. I love it. It's just, it's a wet gross. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just a lot of like bloody fluids and green fluids, like red and greens, and just fluids and pusses and shit oozing. It's a very, very gross film. And then they find a crate of guns in this abandoned hotel, and it's like, what a lucky find, a bunch of machine guns. It's like, I hope that if there's ever a zombie apocalypse and I have to hide out in an old abandoned hotel, that for some reason somebody left a crate of machine guns there for me. That would be pretty sweet. I'd be like, right on. Whoever that was cool. The hazy, the hazy misty fog adds to the surreal nature that I already talked about that. When he pulls the lady out of the water who fell in the water, and her legs have been chewed off, I just wrote kudos, because that was awesome. Where he's like, let me help you, and he pulls her out. He finally gets her out of the water, pulls her out, and they're all just like ripped to shreds and tore up, and she's a zombie now. I'm like, that was awesome. That was a really cool scene. I like that scene. The zombies creeping up on the military dude while the synth pop theme is playing again is very of the time, where it's just like you got this synth poppy, like you got these synth strings and this, it's very kind of a pop sound, but that's when the main monsterish antagonist is coming after one of the main human or whatever protagonists, where you have this music where it was very like synth pop. It's like even some of the later like Friday the 13th did that shit, where it was just like, but it's so very Italian and of the time, like that they would do that, where it's like, what, at this moment should we have some like real like slow building dissonant music where it's creeping and maybe it's got like an intense beat, dun, 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 but it's very like creepy. No, it's like synth pop, and they'll do that and it's like, what the fuck? But that is like so of the time, and that's part of what makes this shit fun. I really like the unique looks of the zombies in this one. Like it's very different from like the first one and from a lot of other zombie movies. It's like I wouldn't say that there's an atypical look, because people with different amounts of money doing it in different style, doing blah, blah, blah. There's tons of different thousands, hundreds of thousands of millions, oh my, of looks of zombies out there. So it's just like nothing to do with that, but it's very unique what they did in this one. And I put especially the bald water zombies, how all the zombies coming out of the water are like these waterlogged kind of decaying, but like less decayed, probably because they had to put them in water so they couldn't make up as much, with the budget or something, I don't know. But they're all bald, so it's like this uniform type of, it's like a type of zombie. Like I played Dead Island, the video game. This movie reminds me a lot of that, because it's almost like, oh, these are the bald water zombies. Like they are a specific type of zombie, a genus of zombie, if you will. But I thought that was kind of cool, and I really like the distinct look of different zombies in this. And the aspect of the radio leaking the news and everything, like how it's in the background, they're listening to it, and how they're using the media and the radio and everything. It's not the TV, it's the radio in this one, but it's very Night of the Living Dead-esque, where it's like these people are getting updated on what's going on, where to go, if they need to seek shelter, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So they're getting the emergency broadcast over the radio instead of the TV, but it's the same kind of thing. Another nod to Romero. I swear, lots of Romero nods in here. The infected bird bite makeup is fucking great. It's some more just like gross, kind of weird, odd, goofy makeup that's just great. The flying rotted head out of the fridge is epic, because how do you even top Machete Zombie? How about decaying, so decayed, almost to the bone, decomposition, severed head, flying out of the fridge and attacking a man and ripping his throat out. That's how you top Machete Zombie. And that shit is fucking hilarious. It's so great. It's so epic. Like, if you like gross, like old horror movies, they're like popcorn flicks to you, where it's just like, they make you laugh because they're so absurd with how gross they are. Zombie 3, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, aka Zombie 3. I'm telling you, this is one of those. And that severed head, you were going to be like, wow! You're going to be like, holy shit! You're going to cheer, and you're going to be like, that is so fucking wild. When our army hero dies on the bridge, it sucks. There's a couple characters where you kind of like, okay, you feel like these are the main mofos, and you're like, you're following them, you're like, okay, these are my main protagonists. But I think I get into that. I say something about that here in a little bit in my last little bits, where I start really wrapping things up. But like, you're bummed. I'm bummed. I was bummed. I was like, oh man, he's one of our guys. You really thought like this guy's gonna make it because he's hella cool. He's like kind of like a little bit of a horn dog, but then he like settles down. He's like, all right, let's kill some zombies and get out of here and make it. And I put down, like, one of the things about the effects, I think what it was and what I came to is the infection, how they do the effects, like the face effects and the body effects and the gore effects for these zombies, makes it look like the infection is actually making them, like, rot and decompose in, like, multiple ways. Like, not in just one way where it's just like, oh, it's making their skin just kind of ooze off and everything. Because there's parts that look like they're dry, like they really dried out and they cracked and they split. Like things maybe like got really swollen and split, and then like the swelling went down, and some places look dry and crusty while others are open and oozing and fleshy and decaying, and those things are just falling off. And it's just like, so it's like this multitude of like these different aspects, and that's part of what makes these zombies so unique and like so awesome, is just like, what in the fuck? Because it's like they're decomposing and decaying in like 3 different ways, it seems like. And that's part of like what makes this one fun for me to watch, is like, all right, this is it's something a little different. It's not the run of the mill. And then that wall they built, craziness. It was like the most like light ramshackle wall. It's like you spent all that time, you probably just would have done better off like going upstairs and barricading all yourselves in one room with using all those boards to nail that door shut where nothing could ever open in it ever. But instead you built that really tiny wall. But what did I put? Because it's like, duh, it is a great setup for that zombie horde bursting in. Because that's what it was, man. All of a sudden it's like that shitty wall, but then wow, in come the zombies and they burst through the wall and they're coming in, and it's on like fucking Donkey Kong now, you motherfuckers, because they are in. And the shotgun head explosion kill was awesomeness. You like, it's way too quick, way too quick. I'm hoping like in the special features it's like I don't know, interviews, zombie reflections might be in there. That'd be cool. But it's just way too quick. Way too quick. It's like maybe like a second, maybe even a half second, but you can see that it is an awesome effect. I don't know why they had to cut it short or whatever, but like I'm sure I'll find out. But that one was like really, really cool. And this is what I put down about, now I said I'd come back to the scientist army thing. Excuse me, burped right out of my mouth. Can you believe that shit? This fucking guy, right? But the irony of the scientists creating the virus. They created it. It was even called like what? Death 1. It's called Death fucking 1. Death 1. And they knew what this name was. And they were sent to create it. They knew what they were creating. Even if they didn't know what it was for, they knew exactly what they were creating. Yet being more human because of the mass slaughter the military has in mind. It's like, you guys created this shit. This is like 50% your guys' fault, at least, because you created the shit that got out. It wasn't your fault it got out. You didn't plan on that shit happening, but it did happen, and it is something that your ass has created. So you might be more humane because you don't want to go like totally obliterate an entire fucking city just to make sure it's contained. But you also created this thing which you had to known what you were creating, and that it could not have been used for something good. It's like, I don't know, even though it's called Death 1 and it turns people into zombies, it's the most efficient way to grow crops of corn. No, it wasn't for corn crops to keep locusts away or something. You built something that was going to be used for very nefarious means. Nice try, scientists. You guys are pricks too. Okay. And then I love how it was the usage of the media to spread mass misinformation. Because at this point, we know they're rounding people up to just kill them. It's like, they're like, listen, we're going to kill all these motherfuckers. That will destroy the virus. Every living thing within, and it's not just the people, every living thing within that parameter is getting burnt and killed. The army's like, that's what we're doing. So I thought it was genius to show how the manipulation plays out. How it's like the government, military, whatever. Yeah, I guess it'd be the government, the military, right? Like how they use the media to their advantage. Whether they're spreading good information or misinformation, they are straight up using the media as their tool to control this populace within here. And I thought that was great because, I don't know, I mean, that's totally fiction, right? Never happens in real life, right? Great. I love how they show societal shit. How they make people think. Like, that's just the thing. It may be a gross out horror movie, but that doesn't mean it can't make you think. Yeah. And then now here's where we get to the hero part. Maybe no real super standout icon protagonist. I when I watch it, I see this group of people and I'm rooting for them. I am. I'm rooting for them. I'm like, I'm with them. I'm like, yeah, you guys are the good guys. Let's go. Let's do this. You got some dickish ones. You got some bad ones. So you know the dickish ones are going to die or whatever. But you're like, okay, you're the group we're going with. These other guys, like these military and these scientists and everything that's going on, fuck them. Because I would honestly be one of you regular folks anyway. Not the military guys that are with them, but the regular folks. So I'd be in your boots. So I'm with you guys. Let's go survive. You know? But there's no real standout icon where it's like a Reggie or a Charlie, you know, from a series. There's no real big standout, you know, but they're heroes you still root for. You're still with them. They're still your fucking heroes, and you're like, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, but those get yapping so goddamn much. But like, you still root for them. They're still your guys. When the army, that's what I mean. When the army guy dies on the bridge, I was like, I was bummed. I was like, that was one of my guys. That was one of my group. So one of my homies. We was going to survive this shit. And then Roger 100% could have lived. Okay? I don't know why they had to get so far up off the ground with the helicopter, but if they were just down like 2 feet, Roger could have hopped right on that helicopter and they could have got out of there and all of them could have survived. Instead, they're way too high off the ground. Roger's hanging from it. Nobody's helping him get in to the helicopter at all. And he's just kind of hanging there. And so he gets pulled down and attacked by the zombies and then shot. So it's just kind of like, Roger 100% could have lived. Nobody can tell me different. He could have and he should have lived. But I guess if they wanted that ending, just like in George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, another line there, where the guy and the gal are flying off together to safety in a helicopter. So much Romero in this movie. Maybe that's a part of it, like, you know, like subconsciously kind of like helps you go along for the ride. Even though it's just kind of like neat to me, the little nods, but I love this movie regardless of them. It might help other people, like getting those little subconscious little things like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, but I just love it. I do love Hamburger DJ Blueheart. The makeup on his face at the end looks like Hamburger. Like, it's just so hilarious. Like, it is the wildest, weirdest, nastiest looking fucking makeup ever. It is so great. It's just like, I love the makeup effects in this because they are some of the just weirdest, grossest fucking makeup effects ever. It's like Zombie 1 and Burial Ground fucked and had a baby. Yeah. With a little bit of maybe just the teensiest bit of Evil Dead in there. Just the tiniest bit, just with like all the reds and green fluids everywhere. And the dystopian downer ending with the hair metal-esque theme playing, and I drew a little heart with an arrow through it because that is so fucking great. Where it's just like, what are we going back to? It's everywhere. It's spread everywhere. Are we even going back to a world that we can live in and survive? Is there anything left? And it's just like, all right, fuck it. Zombie 3, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2. I love this movie so much. It is... Yeah, see on the back here, it even says it. See? If you don't believe me... can you see that? It says, Zombie 3, a.k.a. Zombie Flesh Eaters, a.k.a. Zombie 2. See, it's so fucking wild. Spins his own terrific take on another Hollywood hit, Return of the Living Dead. So it was almost like his take on Return of the Living Dead, I guess. His spin on it, which is pretty cool. So his first one was like, kind of like his take on Dawn of the Dead, and this one was his take on Return of the Living Dead. Pretty cool. But all in all, I really, really enjoyed watching that again. I'm going to enjoy watching the special features. I got to watch a couple commentaries for Zombie, and then I'm going to be on to watching the special features on this. But what's next on the next video? We'll be continuing along. with Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, also known as Zombie 4. Oh, look at that. Why did you get 2 Blu-rays of the same thing? Because this one says Zombie 4 and this one says Zombie Flesh Eaters. Yes, I could flip it to where it says After Death, which is the other title of it, Just After Death. You know, like I still got my DVD copy of Zombie 4, After Death. That I'm really looking forward to this one. The theme song is one of my favorite theme songs of all time. It is so great. I sing it, like it'll pop in my head. Like it's so catchy. It'll pop in my head and I'll sing it. And I won't have watched the movie for like months. Won't have watched the movie, won't have thought about it. But the theme will pop in my head and I'll be like, I gotta watch those movies. And I do. I sit down and I binge them all because I love these. So I think I've signed your pity enough on the runny kind and yapped for a while about another zombie movie. And tell you what, it's going to be the same for this. I'm excited to go through these. So hope you enjoyed my review of Zombie 3, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, Zombie 2, and all of the above. Circle D. And I'll see you next week for this next one. So, Wadata, Kappa Chow. Deuces, I'm out. All right, I gotta go over and push this button. That makes it turn off.